Hello everyone, my name is Elena Baydina and I'm teaching with International Arts Museum of San Francisco today. We will be drawing some ornaments. I am very excited. I really like this festivity spirit that we have right now. We really need that. And I do have my sketch ready, so we are going to just go ahead and jump in. Let me turn around my video. All right, so we are going to draw 3 ornaments, 1, 2, and 3. This is a quick sketch that I did. One of them will have a little bird that looks kind of like this bird. And the 2 others will be our fillers, and we will draw them on here on left side top and left side bottom. And on the top and on the bottom, we will have a whole bunch of little twigs. Also, a good finishing touch-up for this project is to actually go ahead, and if you have a tree at home, you can go ahead and just fill bottom and top later on with glue with the twigs. That is just some option that I did think about it when I was coming up with this project. So the first thing that we are going to do, and let me move this up. The first thing we are going to do is we are going to plan out our painting. So with your pencil, please go ahead and put your hand down like this. You will have 3 fingers, 1, 2, and 3, and make yourself a little bit of a reference point right there. And then also place your hand down. You have 3 fingers, 1, 2, 3. Place a reference point right there. And make a line. This is a loose line that we are making just to kind of make sure that we stay within that realm. Our next step will be to actually plan out our twigs. And let me show you, this is something that you have as a reference. You have a main line right here and a whole bunch of little needles on each side. So what I want you to do is I want you to make a few lines down first, however you'd like to have them. Anyway, just don't pass beyond this point that you made for yourself, this little line on the bottom and on top, too much. Do it just enough. And then here we will also do a whole bunch of lines. Some of them overlap, some of them don't overlap. That is completely your choice. And now we can go ahead and think of a few needles on each side. You do not have to fill them all in, just a few needles on each side where you feel like having them. On each side. And then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Here we are. So now we have kind of a border that we have created for our piece. Now our next step is to figure out how we are going to place our ornaments. So I'm going to demonstrate an ornament. They can be different sizes, they can be different shapes. I decorated this one personally. I bought just a plastic piece from Michael's, and then we filled it in with glitter and little pine cones. Just a very fun festive project. So you can do them this size. Of course, there are sizes that are much smaller, but I would like to focus on the size of maybe an orange. And when I'm going to ask you next to draw a circle, please do not worry. Your circle does not have to be a perfect circle. Just kind of think of how big it needs to be, because we do need to fit 3 of those. 1, 2, and 3. So my first one is going to be here, and it's going to be the biggest one. The easier way to do this is to put your hand on the left side right here. And see how your hand is right in the middle of paper now? Open your fingers a little bit and give yourself a little bit of a reference. So this is where the center of your ornament needs to be. And just go ahead and make a circle around it. And see how my circle is not perfect? It is completely fine. As long as it reminds you of a circular shape. It will have decorations on it. It is not a big deal if it's not a perfect circle. Here on each side, please go ahead and make 2 circles, a little bit smaller size. So I'm thinking of this as my reference. One here, one here. Now that I think about it, I'm thinking that these 2 are too close right under. So maybe I want to move a little bit to the left, right here. Just a little bit. Okay. So now our next step is to work a little bit on the outline for our bird. Let me remind you what the sketch looked like. This is the part that is going to be the most elaborate with the bird. We are going to work on our head, body, wings, and this part will be decorated and will be hanging down from our ornament. So the first thing I want you to do is to draw a tinier circle somewhere here. The next step is to make a half moon shape that's going from the left side of your circle like that. The next step is to make kind of a oval, I would say, right in the middle of your ornament. So right in the middle here. And now on each side of your neck right here, I just wanted to make 2 lines. Now look at the oval that you made right here. Put your finger down and just the length of my third part of my finger, I'm gonna put 1 more dot. And then I'm gonna put my finger next to the oval again, and I'm gonna put 1 more dot. And we're going to connect these points of reference together. Now from our wings, we do want to make this kind of flowing feeling of the feathers right here. So what I want you to do is just starting somewhere in the middle. Let's say this is your oval. Find the middle. And starting from the center, you can go side and back, side and back, side and back. And you can go ahead and make as many as you want until you get back to the middle. Just like that. We also need a little nose, which some of you who have taken the classes with oranges already know. This is a half a triangle, a very organic shape, and you can use it in many other art projects that you're working on. And the crown. Our crown is basically 3 circles. And over here, I'm not going to tell you how to decorate your crown. I prefer doing swirls. If you want something else, you are free to do anything else. And we are making an impression of the bird, so do not worry at all if your bird does not look perfect. We did make a skeleton of the neck right here, so now we just need a filler. For us to do the filler, we need to go on each side of our head and trace it here to the body and stop, and here to the body and stop. Now they are connected and we can do the decorative part. You can just make a straight line, or you can make a line like this. Or if you want to, and I'm going to make another layer like that, you don't have to. You can make a whole bunch more, maybe 3. This part right here will be tail, so we will not worry about this right now with our pencils. But we do need to make a little bit of the legs, so I'm going to go down and down. And then connect, just like 2 triangles. And then we have down and down, somewhere all the way until your circle ends of your ornament right here. If you want to add little feet, you are welcome to. Now this part will be the most whimsical, the most complicated part of our piece. So right now, I do not want you to worry about if you want to have your eye open, you may. I prefer my eye closed. You can have it open. And to make it open, what you can do, once you make this oval for the eye, you just do this. If you want the eyelashes, you're free to do that. Or if you like it to be like mine, all I did is half an oval and 3 eyelashes. Whatever it is that your heart desires. So we are done with our most basic sketch, and we know where everything goes. So we will slowly start working in on our inking part, and this part will be the most meticulous one because we will be filling in these areas. If you do think that you will go ahead and follow my advice later and add actual pieces of twigs to your paper, which you can definitely do, I do not suggest you put too much, but you can put a little bit on the borders right here and a little bit on the borders here. But for now, what we need to do is we need to take our black pen, any pen you like. This is the pen that I use. And I'm going to trace the lines that I like the most. I like this line right here. And I left a couple out because I did not like them that much. So some of them you trace. small right along here. You just need to keep going. But that's okay because all the pencil will go away. This is a very soothing activity, that is for sure. Scientific studies actually show that doing a few repetitive patterns manually, you know, some people are crocheting or knitting, or like in this case, filling in something with black ink that you already did with pencil. It's like a massage for the brain. It's a very ultimate way of taking care of yourself. Here, have one more. Here we are. Oh, I actually missed this one. Also, if you do see that you miss one or two somewhere on your piece, that is completely fine. You can always fill it back in with the pen because it's pretty, you already know how to do it. And once you have the technique, it's pretty easy to fill on top of it when the color is dry. So now here, our next step is to look at our bird. I am going to show you one more time what the bird might ultimately look like. It doesn't have to be these colors. I do prefer Christmas, you know, green and red, going from old England traditions. But if you like any other different color, please, you are welcome to do that. So if you look closely right here, the only pen that you can see is here. I did not trace my head at all. So this is a little bit advanced here. It's a little bit of an advanced class. I will leave it to your choice. If you feel like you want to trace the whole head from what we painted together, from what we drew in pencil, please go ahead and do that. If you feel like you want to keep going with me and you want to try it a little bit harder without the pencil, just this part, then you can go ahead and do that. Just do not trace the head part. So I will not be tracing the whole bird, but I will trace my eyelashes. I will trace my beak and decorations of the crown. But I will not trace the actual crown. I will not trace this whole part. I will only trace the decoration area right here. And here with your pen, it is your choice. You can keep going this way in a pattern to fill it all in. Or you can just trace this line right here, just the bottom Also, if you feel like you really want to try and trace this area, but you are not sure if you will be able to do it without the pencil, even though I will be here with you every step of the way, what you could do is you can take a picture of this with your phone and then use it as a reference when you get back to it. So I will stop somewhere a nail down from my leg with the pattern. And then I'm going to trace my leg. And I do want to color in my beak too. So about the wing, what we're gonna do, the only part we are going to trace is the outside part of the wing, of the wig. So just like that. Whatever it is, whatever shape it is, just like that. And then keep going until you're done with the beak and then stop. If you do want to take a picture of this before you move on, please go ahead. This is a good time to do it. And now I'm going to erase inside of the bird. We'll still have a little bit of the pencil left. I mean, it depends on how hard you press on paper. But it will not be as bad. All right, our next step, because our ornament is right here in the circle, just put your pen right in the middle of it, just like that. Make yourself a little reference point on both sides of it. And with your pen, go ahead and make the topper so it can hold on to the tree, just like that. We are going to do the same thing with these two circles. So put your pen in the middle. Make yourself a few references. And same on top. And then up, up. Up, up. Side to side. Keep it in. This is the holder. All right, and now it is the time to get rid of our pencil lines for our borders. All right, so this class is a little bit more advanced than other classes because we will actually be working with paint here without a pencil. So bear with me, but please don't worry. I will be here with you every step of the way. We will work on the background this time. And the reason I'm saying this is because we have not tried this before with this group. And let's go ahead and try it. So now our next step is to just dip my brush into water. And like I said before, it's good to have 2 jars of water. One for lighter one for darker. Or if it's easier for you, one for cooler colors, one for warmer colors. Dip your brush into water, keep all the water that it has, and just kind of fill your paper in the top left area with water. Do not overlap with your ornament, just kind of stay here. And then wake up your colors. We'll be using light blue for our background. So I'm going to go ahead and dip into water first. Never dip into color right away. This is not how you work with watercolor. So water first, then color. And using your palette, let's go ahead and put some color out on your palette. I'm not going to use just one blue. I'm going to use a little bit of the other blue. But first, again, dip into water and just tap off where you filled in with water before. And all I do is I just make this motion up and down. And I'm going to use some other blue, and just on top of this blue, I'm going to do up and down. Just let the color mix a little bit, dip into water again, get some lighter blue, do some topping. And here we are. Now we're gonna let this area dry, and we're gonna work on this area right here. Just like we did before, get some water, make sure it's dripping from your paint, from your brush. Kind of fill it in. If it's slightly blue right now, it's completely fine. It gives you a little bit of a hint where it is now, so this is good. Then I'm tapping into water again, tapping into blue, and tapping here. If you want to add a little bit of purple or any other shades of blue that you like, you are more than welcome to. I would not do it too dark though, because see how much color I just picked up from my purple. So I'm gonna make sure that I mix it a little bit and I tap into water every time before I use it, so it's not too dark. And all you do is in this tapping manner, you kind of keep filling it in. It will give you a very pretty color. And now I think I want to get back to blue. So water first, then blue. Please do not go too close to your ornaments. I will explain a little bit later why. Just leave a little bit of a kind of like a glow around it. So our color is just kind of flowing. Okay, now that we're done with this area, we are going to take a little break from the background. So put your brush away, pick up your black pen again, and we're gonna get back to this ornament right here. Watch me first. What I'm tracing is not the whole ornament. I am just tracing a few lines on each side of it on top. So this is my topper right here. So I'm gonna go to the left and maybe stop here. And then I'm gonna go to the right and maybe stop here. And then the third area, I will go under its feet and stop here. So I only traced a few lines, and then I'm going to take my eraser and erase the rest of it. Our next step, again, tapping into water, and we have to work on this side of our background. Why I am starting with this side is because I'm a right-handed person. If you are a left-handed person, you will have to do it in reverse, or you can also, anytime, like I was saying before, just rotate your paper and you can work in a way that is comfortable for you. So I'm filling it in with water first. Picking up my palette. Water first. If I'm missing out on some color, adding color. Water again, then color, then tap. You see how much lighter this area is? When it just started, it was so much brighter. So don't worry about it if you feel like you got too many dark colors or they didn't overlap too well. Don't worry about it. Because once it dries, it may give you a completely different impression. Like there's too much water in this area, so water first, a little bit in the middle. I'm just kind of dragging it down here, all the watery area, adding some blue. Just kind of let it lay and mix together. This is the best part of watercolors. You just kind of let it do it. Dip into water, filling in this area now. And this area is going to be filled in with blue and purple, just like that. And I feel like I did a lot of purple, so I make sure that this area gets a lot of blue. So water first. And now I'm dipping into blue, dipping into my palette, water again, getting some blue. Maybe some purple in the middle and just pick it up. Just tapping. Okay, and we're done with our background. Now the next step I want you to do is put down your brush and pick up a little bit of your paper towel. Get yourself a little piece, not too big. Make any shape out of it that you like. And in any areas that has too much water, just in this kind of motion, go up and down. It will leave very interesting imprints, and you can keep rotating it every once in a while. To get a little bit different of a shape each time. Okay, so now this area is my wettest area right here. So what I'm gonna do is flip, and I'm gonna work with the driest area that I have right here. Pick up the brush that is smaller. Dip into your water and wake up some brown or grayish brown. Really, it's your choice. The color we're picking up for is the middle of our twig. So we are going to go ahead and trace the middle of it with a smaller brush. If at some point you see that maybe that area wasn't dry enough and it ends up mixing, you can always do the same thing as we were doing before with your paper towel. Get yourself a little piece of paper towel and just dip and come up, dip and come up, dip and come up, just like that. So I'm tracing this first. Also, you do not have to trace every single line because we will fill it in with green. But I do suggest that you trace your grayish brown, you trace the middle parts of your trees. See how it got a little bit dissolved right here? That is completely fine. It will actually create more of a volume to your painting, so don't worry about it. I'm gonna see this area is mostly dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and work on this here. And get some brownish. And now we're going to turn it around, let this area dry. Now we are back to what our piece is supposed to look like. And we're just going to paint the downside. So pick up the same grayish brown we were using before. Trace it. Same here. My brain must be so massaged by now because I'm tracing it the third time in a row. All right, our next step will be a little bit tricky. So we're going to turn it back around. And we are going to actually free draw with our hand some more elements that look just like this, but with green. So I'm going to use another bucket of water for green. Get some green you like, any green you think will look good for your piece. I'm going to do this one. And just go ahead and fill it in with a few branches that are freehand. This is how you do it. You just make one line and then just fill it in on each side. And then one line, fill it in on each side. also, if you don't feel confident yet, feel free to just repeat the shapes that you have already created. Just, let's say I'm gonna look at this guy and I'm gonna go right next to it and just repeat the way it was going. See? Also, don't worry at all if some of your twigs are not perfectly shaped. It's not a geometry class, and there is no such thing as a perfectly shaped twigs. Now we're going to turn it back around one more time and do the same on the bottom. Get some green. Oh, I have a little bit of a water situation. Here we go. Now we're going to go back to the top again. And we are going to trace the ones that we did lift off last time with another shade of green. So pick another shade of green that you like. I'm going to pick this one, the warmer shade. And I'm going to add more on each side of the little twigs that we first had as a brown. So water first, then pink, then palette, then water again. It is very transparent and it will make this nice flow and create the volume, the feeling volume for your piece. Just find your brown center and keep going. Don't worry if they overlap. Also, if you find an empty space that you feel like you want to fill in, please go ahead and do that. Some of the strokes might be bolder at this point because you already know everything that you filled in. So now that we have this nice third layer, look how much more volume it has. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same for the bottom. Just find your brown areas, dip into another shade of green that you picked. And fill the sides in. And see how much bolder my strokes are? They're not following exactly the way I was doing before at all. Which is completely fine. Oh, this is a bad sign when the paint does that. It means it does not have enough water, and in watercolor we always want to make sure that it has enough water. Now I'm going into this area right here. I really like drawing during the time of Christmas because then you draw a lot of pine cones and Christmas trees, and they're relatively easy to draw, but you can also never run out of variations. There are so many colors and so many shapes. It just never gets boring. So now that we have our nice border right here, we are working from the outside in today. We are going to work on our bird, and here's a little bit of a tricky part for us to make sure that we don't accidentally put our hand, or if you're left-handed, on this area of your painting that you've been just working on. We're going to flip it this way, and we are going to work with the bird looking from here. Like as I said before, we will be working on the shapes in mere pure color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my palette because I need to use red. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean a little bit of the area for myself. You don't need a lot of paper towel, just a little bit. And I'm going to make my bird red. So I'm dipping into red, waking it up, putting it on the palette, dipping into water again, dipping a little bit more into red, waking it up. Now I have some red. And my second shade of red that I'm going to choose to work with is this one. So I'm dipping into water again, dipping into color, dipping into palette, dipping into water again, making sure that it's nice and floaty. I could go ahead and just mix the two right here and just see what they look like together. So you can do that too. Make sure that you're happy with your colors. It's very important in art. And what we're going to do here is we are going to actually paint it in, but we do not see the lines, so bear with me. We did outline our wing. So for our wing, what I want you to do Just remember, you can always make it bigger, but you cannot make it smaller. So we're gonna work from the outside in. First, watch this. We are filling in just the tips of our wing. Just the tips of our wing was red. I'm gonna give it a second. And now, put your brush into water, get some color, and just spread it in a little bit more until you get to this part. And here you see how our pattern helps us to determine where our line was. So I'm just going to go ahead and follow this line. And all we need to do here is to kind of fill it in the rest of it with the color. It doesn't have to be a perfect line here. It, in fact, shouldn't be a perfect line here. If you want to make your wings a little bit pointy, you can also prolong your color. But always remember, you can make it bigger, you cannot make it smaller. Now with our head. So over here we have our head. I'm gonna add a little bit of red. I'm gonna trace my oval where I think it was before. And I also want to trace my feathers. And this is how we're gonna go about this part right here. Just like you did before, remember how we started over here and just did a half circle with our pencil? Just go ahead and do a half circle just like that. And then you know that this is where it stops because this is where we started our ornament. So go ahead and connect it together on one side. And then here and down on the other side. While the watercolor is still wet, just go ahead and mix it in with color. And you will not see any border at all. And here we are. I do want to decorate it when it dries a little bit with my black pen. But for now, I'm just gonna let it dry. And we're gonna work on the filling inside of our ornament. In this painting right here, which was a little bit different, but it's still in the same kind of realm, you'll see that I have a little bit of a twig right here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to dip into water, dip into green that you were using for these, dip onto your palette, dip into water again. And now all you need to do is make a whole bunch of little twigs every here and there. So maybe one like that, and then fill it in on the side. And one can be connected to it. So it's just like we were making those skeletons. It's the same principle. Connect them together and go on each side. I want to make one going down. And over here. And I think it is safe for us to rotate a little bit now. So I'm gonna move it just enough this way so my hand is not on paper still, but I can rotate myself closer to this area right here. So I'm dipping into green. And I'm making a line, and just on each side of the line, is a twig. So here, maybe I want it to go this way. And now I'm going to rotate it a little bit more again. Dip into color, dip into water. One on this side, one on this side. And maybe a few can fit in here. Maybe there is a little one on this side here. If it's hard for you to make a decision on your own, just wait until I'm done with one of the twigs. Look at it, see if you like it, and then repeat it. You do know the technique right now. You make a bigger stick, and then you fill in on each side with tinier ones. Okay, so now this is our composition flow. We have, oh, here we go, fixed it. We have the borders of green on top and on the bottom. We have the rule of 3 in the center, but we also have these colors that are speaking to the colors on top and the bottom, and it really creates this flow. So now for the crown of our bird, it's just 3 little dots. 1, 2, and 3. Now that this area is a little dry, what you can do is you can just go ahead and make a pattern with some red on its neck. And if you want to, you can add some patterns or some lines on the wing. It's really whatever it is you are comfortable with. I'm gonna give it a minute because this is where a lot of decisions are happening usually. And our next step is to work on these 2 guys. And here we will not be using our pencil or black pen, but we will create patterns using our palette. So I suggest you still stay within the same color palette that you already have. Maybe just add 1 more color. I'm going to add another shade of green, just so I have it. And we are going to go and mostly work wet on wet. And what I mean by that is we're going to start with our wet brush. And we are going to create our patterns. So this one right here will also be related to the twigs. So what I want you to do is I want to just go ahead and make a whole bunch of half moons all over it. Just like that. And then you can fill it in on each side. We're gonna let it dry and we're gonna work on our top ornament. So I'm going to flip this way. And I'm going to take my bigger brush. And all I do, I fill in the whole area, but do not touch the pencil, of my ornament with water. And now on top of it, I will go ahead and use any color you'd like in your color palette except for red. And just tap on top of it. Tap, tap, tap. Now I do want to add another shade of light blue here. So water, paint, and then tap, and just watch it mix. Do not add much more, just kind of watch it mix. Tap, 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 tap. While this area is drying, we're getting back to the bottom one. So for the bottom one, I want us to make a whole bunch of blue circles right next to and in between of our branches. So you're just doing the tip. Just like that. And while these two are drying, I'm going to work on this one right here. And here, I'm going to dip into red and add a few berries. Maybe it's mistletoe, maybe some other berries in groups of 3 here and there. 1, 2, 3. Now I can tell that this area right here is dry, so I can go ahead and pick up my black pen and loosely make a line from here going on top and maybe find a branch to hang it to. In between these right here, you can make a little pattern. Our brain really likes patterns. Now we are connected. And same here, it was a little bit tricky because they're both a little bit wet, so I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to make patterns first. Then make my circle and line up. Here also pattern first. Folder. And if yours is overlapping mine, I'm going to do a little bit and then up. Maybe it's holding right to here. And now I'm flipping it over again. So here in this area, we do have the border line. Our background is definitely dry over here. And if you did not overlap your color anywhere, you can just go ahead and erase the border. It's gonna look much better without the pencil. And you can decide where you want to add a little bit of a circle that reminds you that this is an ornament. So I'm going to go side, side, and under just like I did here. I'm not going to touch this area just now because it's still not dry. But I do suggest that we look at our decorations now. Let's think about it. how would you like to decorate it? If you have your glitter, or if you have some twigs that you would like to put on top. This is your creative expression time. I really like these guys. They are half circle that you can go ahead and glue in certain areas to decorate our trees. Whatever it is that you decide to decorate your piece with, I gave you some ideas. And right now, before we do the main part of the decorations, is dip your brush into water and get some green or blue or whatever, or red or whatever is left on your palette. And in this kind of a motion that we have been doing before, just go in each corner, especially in the corners. And fill it in with these strokes. You can also do it with white, but our piece is made in watercolor, and a lot of times white does not come out as well because it's more of ephemeral color. So I suggest using something like that. It's like darker green or darker blue to create the sense of unity. And here we are. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually glue on some of the twigs. I'm going to put one right here and one right here and maybe one here. You can definitely, depending on your preferences, add. I'm gonna put some more decoration on each side. Once this dry, I prefer to cover it in some kind of extra elements, like for example this one right here, or whatever it is that you like. Like some people really like glitter, some people really like little stars. I really would like to give you some creative freedom on this part. And please pick yourself a place where you'd like to sign your work. I'm going to sign mine right here. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to move my piece a little bit closer so you can see all the details, and you can always add more of the decorations right here on each side.
The International Art Museum of America, located at 1025 Market Street, sits at the heart of downtown San Francisco, between 6th and 7th Streets. The aim of our nonprofit museum is to display artworks of disparate cultures to promote peace and harmony among peoples. Visitors will enter a garden with faux rock formations, tropical flowers, live ferns, and a waterfall flowing into ponds. The gallery houses ink and wash Chinese paintings, abstract oil paintings, hyper-realistic ink paintings of animals, landscapes, and figures. Approximately 60% of the displays are paintings and sculptures by the contemporary artist H.H. Dorje Changbuda III. The gallery also contains European oil paintings of landscape and portraits from 18th century, including works by the French realist Rosa Bonheur, the Norwegian impressionist Fritz Thalo, and the French fauvist Maurice de Vlaminck. Yama offers a peaceful environment for visitors to enjoy beautiful art. Admission is free for all of 2014.
Here in the gift shop, we have a little something for everyone. Whether you're a tourist or a local, or shopping for yourself or for others, especially for children, we have many products based on Yama's artwork, as well as international and San Francisco themed items. We do our best to have a consistent flow of new and exciting products so our visitors can always find something special to take home every time they visit Yama.